The first season of The Flash is one of the best superhero shows ever, and it never gets talked about enough. It's always drowned out by how poo-poo the rest of the show got or how cheesy it is, but The Flash was a phenomenon. Everyone I knew during 2014 watched The Flash, and that was because there was something magical at the time of what seemed to be a big-budget superhero show that wasn't embarrassed of its source material. It paved the way for superhero television, and it's not brought up enough. This show constantly gets dogged on for how it fell off or how it went off the rails, and I'm not interested in that at all. Why did this spunky little CW show capture all of our hearts? Why did we fall in love with these cheesy characters, and why do we have this intense nostalgia for a show that by all accounts isn't a masterpiece of television? But that's because the reason we love it is because this show has so much heart. It is so sincere in trying to be the best adaptation of The Flash it could be during its time, and it gave everything it had, and I'll be dead before I don't give this show its flowers. So this is why The Flash is still gas 10 years later. First off, let's go back and look at the TV superhero landscape at the time in 2014. The Flash came out during a time where the biggest live action superhero shows were Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Arrow. Now I've watched a bit of both of these shows, and they're both fine, but it's insane how embarrassed both of these shows are of their source material. Like, put a gun to the Arrow show's head, and it's gonna tell you with a straight face this isn't Green Arrow until about season 4. But The Flash was one of the first live action shows to embrace the goofy comics and to give itself the first trait that made this show so successful early on: sincerity. The Flash is a show that wears its comics roots on its sleeve. The origin is right on the money. It introduces every main rogue with basically no huge compromises and adds characters that you never think would get adapted, especially in a CW live action show. Like, King Shark is here, Gorilla Grodd is here, and the show plays it relatively straight. Like, there is no jokes about this. Like, that is just straight up Gorilla Grodd. Now, does it make the show a little cheesy with how it treats all of these threats equally, like they are all the end of the world? Yeah, it is silly when Flash gets absolutely duped by Trickster, but do I love it because of how cheesy it is? Also, yes.
Oh man, I could really go for some salties right now.
Everyone in this cast is acting on this wavelength that is so earnest. Now, would I call any of this acting great? No, but everyone is committed. No one is just phoning it in, especially in these early seasons. Everyone is giving it their all, even if they're not that good of actors. And that sincerity and commitment to the show ends up creating a show that is so fun because you want to hang out with all of these characters, and the format of it being a TV show makes that even better. It is not talked enough about how comics are best translated to the format of television. It gives the characters way more time to breathe, and comics and television are very alike due to how serialized both of the mediums are. And The Flash adapts the serialized delight of reading the comics by just showing us episodes with more Flash adventures. Sure, this can lead to some episodes that some would consider filler, but it leads to us growing closer to these characters and seeing Flash being a superhero in and out of costume. We see him helping the little guy and also fighting the huge threats. Now, I'm not saying this is the best type of pacing for a TV show. There is something said and important for having a 10-episode miniseries that cuts out all of the fat and focus of pacing and tight storytelling. You saw that with Shogun. I love that show. But there is something equally as important in the mundane and slowing down, ironically, and allowing us to understand and fall in love with these goofballs. Seeing all of the mundane and smaller adventures makes the larger, intense, dramatic battles that much higher in stakes, and you end up falling in love with these cheesy characters, and it's hard not to end up being invested by the end of the season when lives are on the line. And that is because the show genuinely has a fantastic threat that could take it all away. And man, the main reason we all fell in love with this show is because of the villain, and you already know who it is. Hit the edit. Reverse Flash has no business of being this interesting and exciting of a villain for a CW show, and I know he's incredible in the comics, but they did not have to adapt him this hard. From the soap opera structure of us not knowing when he will reveal himself to the characters, along with how we know there's a ticking time bomb on the Flash disappearing into the future, it creates this incredible tension, only for it to be paid off with some incredible fights and truly an all-time performance from Tom Cavanaugh. I don't care what you say, he is so good as Eobard Thawne, it's insane. He is absolutely electric and sets the bar so high for this show that it's never able to quite reach it again with a threat or villain this good. And also, the show never is able to really reach the heights of season 1 again. The Flash is a show that's been well documented for its fall from grace and how it never was able to recapture that initial magic. And honestly, I think that's okay. It ended up being a TV show from a bygone era, but that doesn't end up taking away from the greatness of that first season. That first season of The Flash will always be gas. And the show will always be special for me because it was adapting my favorite DC character into a TV show, and it was pretty good. Grant Gustin took on playing my favorite character, and I thought he honestly did a great job, and he still is the best live action adaptation of this character. Is this show perfect? No, but it's got the heart of what makes the Flash special down to its core. He helps the little guy, he goes on crazy fights, and then he has to fight Reverse Flash, who is going insane for no reason. And it's easy now for time to speed up and everyone to write off this show as something that was never good. But if that's true, then what happens when I hit you with this nostalgia blast?
My name is Barry Allen, and I am the fastest man alive.
I love this show so much. Go read some Flash comics. I made a video on where you can start with it. And when my next video comes out, I'll see you then. Bye.